Welcome to another episode here on A New Life in France. We are really gaining some traction now and our numbers keep going up all the time on our YouTube channel. So do make sure you subscribe, but also go to our website, anewlifeinfrance.com. Go to our Facebook group, Moving to France. We've got resources and everything that you will need to move and live in France. Really popular now are the in-depth area views that we're doing. So we're starting to look at either areas or departments and just nailing down a little bit more what is there to sort of whet the appetite for you to go and have a look. Now also in a lot of cases now we're also adding more pages to the website. So we're adding even more detail into web pages as well. So if you recently watched the Vienne one, then you can now go onto the website and you can find a whole load of information on the Vienne. So do look out for that as well. So we're adding more content, both audio and video and written content on the website as well. So do make sure you go and look at that. So today we are going to be going to Department 86, which is the Vienne. So we're going to tell you a little bit more about the Vienne and just give you that kind of insight to what it's like to look to move there and also to live there as well. So the Vienne, it actually takes its name from the river and it's a tributary to the Loire. Now for me, the Vienne, because it has that river flowing through it, not only does it have the river flowing through it, but also it has carved out its history within that area. So if we think about the geography of the Vienne, it has to the south and the southwest of it, much more rolling hills, a little bit more rolling in terms of the hills and the agriculture, slightly smaller farms within that area. And then when you actually then head slightly north, and particularly when you head northeast, then it becomes much flatter in terms of that, and probably slightly bigger farms as well. So you do see those wide and far stretching fields as well, so very agricultural in that area. Now the Vienne as a whole is countryside. It really is countryside. Poitiers is the main city, so Poitiers is the centre of the Vienne. Now for me, I really love Poitiers. Poitiers has so much history to it. Has a lot of modern history, but also a lot of old history as well. Now, the Vienne as a department was one of the original 83 departments going back in time. But even before that, so if we go back to sort of before 30 years before Christ, so 30 BC, then actually there was a Roman settlement there as well. The French do nod to their Roman history, but probably not as much as the British do. The British really go, oh, there's this town and it's got all of its Roman history. The French not as much, but it does have a lot of Roman history. So if you do go to Poitiers, you can go and see the old amphitheatre, which was founded in the 1800s. They found the old amphitheatre which is there and probably was one of the largest amphitheatres in France. Well, you also have though as well, you also have the baths that are there as well. So the spa elements, but very much the baths. So if you think about going in the, say in the UK, a lot of people would go to Bath because of the baths that it has there from the Roman influence. And again, I would say Poitiers is quite similar in terms of that. So Poitiers itself has lots and lots of history, but from a practical point of view, then it will have all of your big supermarkets, have your big DIY chains, everything that you need will be in Poitiers, and it's pretty much easy reach of most of the Vienne. What you also have as well is you have an airport which is serviced from obviously internally in France, but also externally as well. Those coming from the UK can fly into Poitiers. There are regular services through the year from 1 or 2 airports, and then in the summer there's a few more airports open up to it as well. It's not one of the biggest hubs, but it does have its own airport. Now for me, from the transport links as well, what it also has, it has a TGV. So it has a great railway station there and you can get the TGV from Poitiers. You can be from Poitiers into Paris in about an hour and a quarter. That's a real plus point if you're wanting to visit and get around the place. It is also situated on the A10, so that's the main motorway. So you can go south from there, which will take you down to Bordeaux. You can also then go southwest of there and you can then turn off and head to La Rochelle. You can also then go back into country. You can go to Tours and then on to Paris as well. And you can also then get up to the coast. So those major transport links have a real bearing on Poitiers and a big bearing on the Vienne itself. The Vienne has some beautiful towns within it. If you look within the southwest of the Vienne, you have Montmorillon. Now, Montmorillon, La Cité des Grecs, which is about writing. So if you go there, it's all about books and it's about writing. Now, those of you in the UK might be familiar of Ross-on-Wye, which is famous for all its bookshops, whereas Montmorillon is famous for that, but it's also famous for the macaron as well. So that was founded there in Montmorillon, so definitely worth going to have a look there. But Montmorillon itself has lots of history. It's also a lovely town. It has some supermarkets as well for you as well. It's a popular tourist spot, but it's also quite popular just because it's communication links, and also there's some lovely little villages around Montmorillon as well, which gives you then access into the Haute Vienne as well. But for me, I think Montmorillon is one of those special places as well. They're not too far from Montmorillon. You can then start to move just a little bit further up. And within that, you've got one or two other lovely places as well. Like you've got Chauvigny as well, which has got beautiful castles around it. And for me, to go and have a look on there, you go into the town itself and then you can be looking upwards and there's so much to find around there, and you have falcon flying in the summer. It's a lovely place to go to, but it's also, again, got that history. Go a little bit further north from there, then you can go to Châtellerault, which, again, is a very functional town for me. It's a little bit of history, but it's very functional in terms of everything that's got there. And it's situated, again, right on the A10. And when you're looking at Châtellerault, which is there, then you can easily then get onto Tours as well, which is another department. But again, it's a great place to go to. If we then probably go to the west now, if we go to the west of the Vienne, we can go across to Civray. Civray's got lots of history around it as well, much flatter in terms of there, a lot more agriculture, but again, it's a great town. It's got everything that you need in terms of those as well. But again, remember, Poitiers is that central point. And for me, when you look in everything that is there, you've got all these lovely little villages that are there. So if you're looking for villages with a little bit more undulation, then you're likely to be south of Poitiers. A little bit more north then is a lot flatter, but again, it's still a really popular place. And those of you that watch Escape to the Chateau, or Chateau DIY as it is now, there's a couple there just north of Poitiers that have been doing a great renovation in terms of that. And they also feature on Help I Bought a Village, and they've done a lot of work in terms of that as well. So again, it does have people moving to that area, probably less in the north of the Vienne than there is in the south and the west of the Vienne. I would certainly say that. For me though, what again it has, which many of the departments in France have, it has that really lovely rural feel to it. So you will be able to find properties that have a rural feel to it. You can go to one or two of those towns if you want that town feel. I mentioned Montmorillon, that is a lovely town to be in. But also then outside of those, you're going to find lovely little hamlets, lovely little villages that may not have all the amenities such as a boulangerie or something, but it will have the peace and quiet. And again, I think you get that in rural France anyway, but it is also something to think about. So I really think some of those plus points for looking to move to the Vienne is you have the towns, but you also have, you know, one or two of the central towns like Poitiers. Poitiers is easy to get to. But then again, if you want to explore France, again, Poitiers being on those communication routes is really helpful. It is a little bit further north in France, so again, you can, if you're going into the UK, can get into there. But equally, if you're coming in from the US or from Canada or anywhere in the world and you are flying in predominantly into Paris, you can get out quite easily as well in terms of that now, be that hiring a car and coming out, or just getting on the train because you've got second home or you need to get back, or whatever it happens to be. You can do that really easily from the Vienne. In terms of its weather as well, lovely summers as well. You don't have the heat that you have in the south, but you do have lovely summers. You also then will get a touch of snow, and you will get good frosts through the winter time as well, and that's what you get. You're that little bit further north. You get some of the influence coming through from the west of the coast, so those westerly coasts coming in from the Atlantic will shape some of your weather, particularly to the western side of the Vienne. But also then what the Vienne has, it has, because of those communication routes, what it has is, again, is some really nice touristy places. Now, Futuroscope is one of the most visited theme parks in France. Do go and look it up, see what it has. As the name suggests, it's about the future. So it has a lot of 3D animation there. It has some virtual rides as well, which is really like living the rides. They've spent a lot of money and they're turning it into an even bigger park at the moment, looking to put a big water park in as well. They see that as a really great destination to go to. Another thing as well to think about is you can also go and see crocodiles outside in the Vienne as well. You can go to the park that is there, which is really dedicated to crocodiles. And also as well, you can then just very much to the east, right on the border of the Indre and the Vienne, you can go and see serpents as well. And one of my favourites going to the Vienne as well is the Vallée des Singes, so the Valley of the Monkeys. Now that's a great park to go to. I don't think it really matters what age you are. It's a great park to go to in terms of what they put on and make it there. So you have all of that as well. You do also then have some of the lakes in the area. So you have the lakes, which will also have some man-made beaches. They're very much there as well. So you can enjoy the Vienne and you can have the life you want in the Vienne. It isn't the south, and therefore with it not being the south, it is not as expensive. So you can find really good property in the area. So if you're on a budget, that's really helpful. What it doesn't really have is those people want that traditional French city life. It doesn't really have that. You have Poitiers, but Poitiers isn't a Bordeaux. It isn't a Paris. It just doesn't have that kind of architecture to it. So it's probably less attractive from that side. But you do have those other towns surrounding within the Vienne area that have that for you as well. So do think about that in terms of what you want to be able to do. Now, if you were coming in to retire, then you're going to retire and enjoy a lovely rural life. You can get to the coast within a couple of hours. You can get across to La Rochelle. You can also get up into the Loire Valley and up to Nantes. So you can enjoy the Brittany coastline as well if you want to. So it does have that going for it. You can get inland, north, south. It's great for moving around if you have that. Now, if you're looking to then maybe start a business in the Vienne, then what you might well be looking at is a gîte complex in terms of that as well. Now, for those people that have gîtes there, they will have good bookings through the summer, particularly those with a pool. But also what you find though is a lot of people will come to France and they'll probably do a 2-week stopover, a week in one place and a week in another. So some people will find in the Vienne is a great place to come and maybe spend either your first week or your second week, but you can then explore the Vienne, the Haute Vienne, you can go up into the Loire Valley, you can go off to the coasts. Gives you that real great way to actually explore and enjoy the area. So do think about that if you're looking potentially to put a gîte business in or there. And equally, if you're maybe looking to put a small holding or have some animals, then the Vienne is good agriculture. And the reason it has that is because it has the seasonal change. You will have sun, you will have rain, not a huge amount of rain, but you will have that. And that again means that from a grass perspective and a land perspective, it isn't as dusty and everything that goes on with it. So it's more nutritious and it is really good for those people maybe that have got horses as well. It does lend itself to that as well. So for me, the Vienne is a great place to go. And for me, it's part of the Poitou-Charentes, so that's an area. They're less talking about those kind of areas, but lots of people will know that where that is. Very similar to the Limousin. The Limousin is made up of 3 departments, and we picked one of those recently, which was the Haute Vienne. So again, you get the same when you're looking at Vienne. You can go to Vienne, and then you've got Dept next to it, and we will be going to the Dept really, really soon to be able to give you a flavour of that, because that's a very popular place. And earlier this year, we did include a few properties from there as well in terms of our property focus. So for me, the Vienne is definitely there. It should definitely be on your watch list if you're looking for rural, you're looking maybe for a little bit of value, also if you're looking for a little bit of history as well. Hasn't quite got as much medieval as maybe further south, but it's got a lot of history. It's also got that Gallo-Roman history as well. So it has got that history from the Roman times as well, and you can pick up on that. So if you're into your history, it really is great in terms of that as well. So the Vienne for me is definitely a place to look at. It is popular with people moving to France, be they Brits or coming from other countries as well. It is popular from that perspective, and it's popular because it's got the communication routes, it's got history, it's got rural, it's got everything that you would want as well. And probably the price does lead to a little bit of that as well. You can get a really good property, and you can also get a great renovation property to go from there as well. So for me, hope you've enjoyed looking at the Vienne. Do go to our website. Remember, we're adding more and more content all the time. There will be a dedicated page to the Vienne, not just telling you about the Vienne, but telling you things to look at the Vienne, telling some of the agents to go to, some of the businesses that are there as well that you can do. Maybe it's for eating and drinking, you could go and look as well, but also for those services of those of you looking for English speaking services as well. You'll find those on those particular pages and within our website. Again, hope you've enjoyed it. Do subscribe, press the subscribe button, go to our website, anewlifeinfrance.com, and you can find all the links and all the information there.